The ship Horizon's Edge moved slowly through space toward the alien planet. Taemin stood at the window and watched the strange world get bigger. His hands were shaking a little. He was the lead scientist for this mission. Today, humans would meet aliens for the first time. Captain So-young walked up beside him. She was a tall woman with short black hair and calm eyes. "Are you ready?" she asked. "I think so," Taemin said. He touched the small device on his belt. It would record everything about the aliens. Their body heat, their electrical signals, everything. "What if we make a mistake?" So-young smiled. "Then we learn from it. That's what humans do best." The planet below them was beautiful but strange. It looked like it was made of crystal. Tall towers rose from the surface, all shining with different colors. Blue, green, purple, red. The light moved through them like water. "Captain," came a voice from the bridge. "We're getting a message from the planet." So-young and Taemin hurried to the bridge. The communication officer, a young woman named Haiwan, was working at her station. "They want us to land at the main city," she said. "But there's something odd about their message." "What do you mean?" So-young asked. "It feels different, like it's not just words, like there's something else mixed in." Taemin looked at his readings. The device on his belt was already picking up strange signals from the planet. Electrical. Patterns unlike anything he had ever seen. "They might communicate differently than us," he said. The ship landed on a platform made of smooth crystal. Through the windows, they could see aliens waiting for them. The aliens looked like they were made of living crystal, too. They were tall and thin, and light moved through their bodies. Some were clear like glass. Others were colored like gems. Tae-min counted 12 aliens waiting. One stood in front of the others. She was taller than the rest, and her crystal body was a deep blue color. Crown-like shapes grew from her head. This had to be their leader. "Remember," So-young said to her team, "we follow their lead. We watch what they do and copy it. No sudden moves." The team of 6 humans left their ship. The air outside was warm and smelled like flowers. But there was something else in the air, too. A feeling like electricity before a storm. The blue alien stepped forward. When she moved, her crystal body made soft ringing sounds like bells. She was beautiful but also frightening. Power seemed to flow around her like invisible fire. Tae-min felt his device getting warmer on his belt. The electrical readings were going crazy. These aliens were full of electricity. It moved through their crystal bodies like blood moves through human bodies. The alien leader stopped 3 steps away from the humans. She raised one crystal hand. The other aliens did the same thing. So-young raised her hand too, and the other. Humans copied her. "I am Queen Velthera," the alien said. Her voice was like music, but it came from inside their heads, not their ears. "You are the humans." "Yes," So-young said. "I am Captain So-young. This is my team. We come in peace." Queen Velthara tilted her head. Light flowed faster through her crystal body. "Peace," she repeated. "A word we know." "But do you mean it?" "We do," So-young said. The queen looked at each human one by one. When her eyes met Taemin's, he felt something strange, like a small shock of electricity. But it didn't hurt. It felt curious. "Your electrical patterns are strange," the queen said. "Different from any life we have met." Taemin stepped forward a little. "We would like to learn about you too. Your people are amazing." Queen Velthara's crystal body brightened. The other aliens made soft, musical sounds. Were they talking to each other? "Learning," the queen said. "Yes. But first you must understand our ways. Among my people, touch is sacred. It is how we truly speak to each other. But it is only for family and the most important ceremonies." So-young nodded. "We understand. We will not touch without permission." "Good," Queen Velthara said. She began to turn away, then stopped. "You may look at our city, but do not touch anything. Do not touch anyone. The queen started walking toward the crystal towers. The humans followed, keeping their distance. Taemin watched his readings. The electrical signals from the aliens were getting stronger. His device was almost too hot to touch now. The city was like nothing any human had ever seen. The buildings were grown, not built. Crystal paths wound between them like frozen rivers. Alien people moved along these paths, their crystal bodies shining in the light. Look at that, Haewon whispered, pointing at a fountain. Instead of water, liquid light flowed from it. Tae-min was so amazed by the fountain that he didn't watch where he was walking. The crystal path was smooth and he slipped a little. He put out his hand to catch himself. His hand touched Queen Velthara's arm. The moment their skin met crystal, everything changed. Electricity shot through both of them like lightning. Taemin felt the queen's mind touch his for just a second. He saw flashes of her thoughts, her memories, her feelings. And she saw his. The queen spun around, her crystal body blazing with angry red light. The other aliens stepped back in fear. Some made high, sharp sounds like breaking glass. Queen Velthara raised her hand high. Her voice filled their heads like thunder. Touch me again, human, she said. But something in her electrical pattern was different. Under the anger, Taemin felt something else. Surprise, wonder, maybe even interest? The queen's guards moved forward, their crystal hands glowing with dangerous light. Captain So-young put her hand on her weapon, but Taemin stepped between them. I'm sorry, he said to the queen. It was an accident. I didn't mean to break your law. Queen Velthara stared at him. The red light in her crystal body slowly faded, to purple, then blue. An accident, she said quietly. Perhaps, but the damage is done. You have touched the queen of the Valari without permission. This is an act of war. The alien guards surrounded the humans. Their crystal bodies hummed with power. In the distance, Taemin could see alien ships rising into the sky, heading toward the human ship. But he couldn't stop thinking about that moment when he and the queen had touched. For just a second, they had shared thoughts. And what he had felt from her wasn't just anger. She had been lonely. So very lonely. And in that touch, something had awakened in both of them. Taemin sat in a crystal cage that hummed with electricity. The walls were clear, but when he tried to touch them, they shocked him. Not enough to hurt, but enough to make him pull his hand back. Through the crystal walls, he could see the alien city. The beautiful towers now looked like prison walls. Alien guards stood outside his cage. Their crystal bodies glowed with orange light, which Taemin had learned meant they were ready to fight. It had been 3 hours since he touched Queen Velthara. 3 hours since everything went wrong. Captain So-young and the rest of his team were in another building, probably in cages just like his. The alien ships had surrounded the human ship. No one could leave. No one could call for help. Tae-min looked at his device. It was still working, still recording the electrical patterns around him. Even now, as a prisoner, he couldn't stop being a scientist. The readings were strange. The aliens' electrical signals were getting weaker. Footsteps rang through the crystal hall. Someone was coming. Queen Velthara walked into the room. She was alone. The guards stepped aside and bowed their crystal heads as she passed. She looked different now. The angry red light was gone. Her crystal body was a soft blue color, almost sad. Human, she said. Her voice was quieter than before. My name is Taemin, he said. Taemin. She said his name carefully, like she was tasting it. Do you know what you have done? I touched you by accident. I broke your law. Queen Velthara walked around his cage slowly. It is not just a law. For my people, touch is life itself. When we touch, we share our electrical essence. We become one mind, one soul for a moment. It is the most sacred thing we know. Taemin thought about that moment when their skin met crystal. He had felt her loneliness, her heavy responsibility. And for just a second, he had felt less alone too. I felt it, he said quietly. When we touched, I felt your mind. The Queen stopped walking. Her crystal body flickered. You felt it too? Yes. You were sad and tired. You carry so much weight. Queen Velthera moved closer to the cage. In 3,000 years, no alien has ever felt our touch speech. You are the first. Maybe that's good, Taman said. Maybe it means our people can understand each other. Or maybe it means you are dangerous. But her voice didn't sound like she believed that. The Queen touched a crystal panel on the wall. The cage's electricity dimmed. She could turn it off if she wanted to. Tell me about humans, Taman. Why do you explore space? What do you want? Taman sat down on the crystal floor. We want to learn. We want to find friends among the stars. Earth is just one small world. There's so much we don't know. Friends. Queen Velthera said the word like it was strange. We have not had friends for a very long time. Why not? The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Her crystal body dimmed until it was almost gray. Because we are dying, Taman. My people are dying, and we don't know how to stop it. Taman's device beeped. The electrical readings had just changed. What do you mean, dying? Queen Velthara raised her hand and looked at it. Taman could see small cracks in the crystal, like lines. In old glass. Our crystal bodies are breaking down. We grow weak. Some of my people can no longer change from solid to energy form. They are trapped in crystal shells that grow more brittle each year. How long has this been happening? 1,000 years. Maybe more. At first, only the very old were affected. But now even young ones are born with weak crystal. We thought touching aliens might make it worse, so we forbid it. Taman stood up and walked to the cage wall. But when you touched me, you felt stronger, didn't you? Queen Velthara's crystal body brightened a little. Yes, for that moment I felt more alive than I have in decades. How did you know? Because I felt it too. My electrical readings went up. My device recorded it. Taman held up the small machine. Look, I can show you the data. The Queen stared at the device. You mean you can measure our electrical essence? Yes. And when we touched, both our electrical patterns got stronger, not weaker. Queen Velthara moved even closer to the cage. Her crystal face was just inches from his human one. Show me. Taman held up his device. The screen showed two wavy lines. One was steady and blue. The other was wild and red, jumping up and down like a crazy heartbeat. The blue line is you, he said. The red line is me. See how different they are? Your electrical pattern is smooth and controlled. Mine is chaotic and unpredictable. Yes, I felt that chaos when we touched. It was exciting. But look what happened when we touched. Taman pointed to a spot on the screen where both lines suddenly got much taller. Both our patterns got stronger. Your smooth electricity and my chaotic electricity made each other better. Queen Velthera stared at the screen. This is impossible. Touching aliens should make us weaker. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe touching the right aliens makes you stronger. The Queen looked at him for a long time. Her crystal body cycled through different colors. Blue, purple, green, gold. Taman's device recorded it all. There is something I have not told you, she said finally. Something my people have hidden for centuries. What? We are not dying from age or sickness. Something is hunting us. Something that feeds on electrical energy. It has been draining our life force slowly, carefully, so we would not notice until it was too late. Taman felt cold. What kind of something? We call them the Void Devourers. They are not alive as we understand life. They are hunger given form. They move through space like shadows, eating the electrical essence of living beings. And they've been feeding on your people? For 1,000 years. We thought we could hide from them by staying in our crystal cities, by avoiding other species. But hiding only slowed them down. They are still coming. Taemin looked at his device again, at the chaotic red line that represented human electrical patterns. What if chaos is what you need? What if our unpredictable electricity confuses these void things? Queen Velthara's crystal body blazed with sudden hope. Do you think, could your people help us fight them? I don't know, but I think we should try. The queen touched the crystal panel again. The cage door opened with a soft chime. Touch me again, human, she said. But this time her voice was not angry. It was hopeful. Tai-Min stepped out of the cage. He reached out his hand slowly. Queen Velthara reached out hers. Their fingers touched. Lightning flowed between them, but this time Taemin was ready for it. He felt the queen's mind open to his. He felt her centuries of loneliness, her fear for her dying people, her desperate hope that maybe, finally, help had arrived. And she felt his curiosity, his desire to help, his species' stubborn refusal to give up even when things seemed hopeless. When they separated, both of them were glowing brighter than before. We must talk to your captain, Queen Velthara said. If what you say is true, then perhaps humans and Valari together can face the darkness that comes for us all. But even as she spoke, alarms began to sound throughout the Crystal City. The Void Devourers had found them. The Crystal City shook as something dark moved across the sky. Taemin pressed his face to the window and saw them for the first time. The Void Devourers looked like holes in space itself, black shapes that made his eyes hurt to look at. They moved like liquid shadow, flowing between the crystal towers. Queen Velthara's crystal body had turned pale gray. They found us faster than usual. They must sense something new here. My people, Taemin said. They're sensing humans. Alarms kept ringing through the city. Crystal aliens ran through the streets below, their bodies flashing with fear colors. Orange, red, sharp white. Some aliens were already looking sick. Their crystal was cracking as the void things drained their electrical life. We need to get to my ship, Taemin said. My team might know what to do. Queen Velthara nodded. They ran through crystal halls toward the landing platform. Alien guards joined them, but Taemin could see the guards getting weaker with each step. Their crystal bodies were dimming. Outside, the sky was full of darkness. The Void Devourers moved like storm clouds, but worse. Where they passed, the crystal buildings lost their glow. Plants withered. Even the air felt tired. Captain So Young and the human team were already at their ship. Hei-Wan was working frantically at a computer. Captain, she called, these things are affecting our ship's power. Our engines are losing energy. How much time do we have? So Young asked. Maybe an hour before we can't take off. Queen Velthara and Taemin reached the ship. The other humans stared at the alien queen, but So Young stepped forward calmly. Your Majesty, So Young said, I think we need to work together. Yes, the queen said. Taemin thinks your people might be able to help us fight these creatures. Hei-Wan looked up from her computer. Fight them how? Our weapons don't work on something that isn't solid. Taemin pulled out his device. Look at this data. When I touched the queen, our electrical patterns made each other stronger. What if we can use that? Do-hyun, Taemin's research partner, took the device and studied the readings. He was a quiet man who noticed things others missed. These patterns are incredible. It's like your electricity and theirs are opposite types that complete each other. Can we make it bigger? Taemin asked. Can we create some kind of electrical field that these void things can't drain? Do-hyun's eyes got wide. Maybe, but we'd need more contact between humans and aliens. A lot more. Queen Velthara looked worried. My people have never touched aliens before. It goes against everything we believe. Your people are dying anyway, So Young said gently. Sometimes you have to try something new. A crystal alien ran up to them. He was old, with cracks all through his body, but his eyes were bright. My queen, he said. I am Elder Nalvera. I have been studying the old records about the Void Devourers. What did you find? Queen Velthara asked. The creatures first appeared 1,000 years ago, but they did not come from space. They came from inside our own galaxy. What do you mean? Taman asked. Elder Nalvera's crystal body flickered. Long ago there was another species in this galaxy. They were made of pure electrical energy, but they tried to make themselves more powerful by draining energy from other beings. The experiment went wrong. They became the Void Devourers. So they're not really alive anymore? Duhyun asked. No, they are hunger without thought. They can only consume. They cannot create or grow or learn. Taman felt his device getting hot again. The Void Devourers were getting closer. Then we need to give them something they can't digest, something that fights back. Human electrical patterns, Queen Velthara said. Your chaos might confuse them. But one human isn't enough, Dohyun said. We'd need many humans touching many aliens at the same time. Captain So Young looked at her small team. We only have 6 people. Then we call for more, Timon said. Earth has billions of humans. Some of them would volunteer. There's no time, Haewon said. Look. They all turned to see a Void Devourer flowing toward them like a black river. It was huge, bigger than their ship. Where it touched the crystal ground, the crystal turned gray and cracked. Queen Velthara stepped forward. Everyone inside the ship, now. They ran into the human ship. Queen Velthara had to duck to fit through the door. Inside, the ship felt safer, but Taman's device showed that the electrical drain was still happening. The ship's shields are holding for now, Haewon reported, but not for long. Elder Nalvera sat down heavily. His crystal body was more cracked than before. My queen, there is one more thing from the old records. The ancient texts speak of a catalyst species that could restore balance to the galaxy. Catalyst? Taman asked. A species whose electrical patterns could boost other species instead of competing with them. We always thought it was just a legend. Dohyun looked at the data on Taman's device again. What if it's not a legend? What if humans are the catalyst species? That would mean, Queen Velthara said slowly, that humans didn't find us by accident. You came here because the galaxy needs you. Through the ship's windows, they could see more Void Devourers gathering. The Crystal City was losing its glow. Alien people were falling in the streets as their life force was drained away. We have to try something, So Young said. Even if it doesn't work. Taman looked at his team. All 5 of his fellow humans looked scared but determined. What if each of us touches an alien? Can we create a big enough electrical field to hurt these things? It might kill you, Queen Velthara warned. The electrical feedback could destroy your nervous system. Then that's a risk we take, So Young said. Better to die trying than to watch everyone else die. Queen Velthara called more aliens to the ship through her crystal communication. Soon, 6 Valerie stood facing 6 humans. Each alien's crystal body was dim and cracked from the void attack. Link hands, Dohyun said. Make a circle. If we're going to create an electrical field, we need to be connected. Taman reached for Queen Velthara's hand. She reached for Captain So Young. So Young reached for Elder Nalvera. One by one, humans and aliens joined hands in a circle. The moment the circle was complete, electricity exploded through all of them. Taman felt 12 minds suddenly connected, human thoughts mixed with alien thoughts. Chaotic human emotions swirled together with the controlled Valeri electrical patterns. And something new was born. The ship's lights blazed brighter than they ever had before. Outside, the Void Devourers suddenly stopped moving. For the first time in 1,000 years, they had found something they couldn't drain. Something that fought back. It's working, Haewon gasped. Her hand was locked with an alien guard's crystal fingers. The energy drain has stopped. But Taman could feel the strain on all of them. Human and alien alike were shaking with the effort. They couldn't hold this for long. We need more people, he said through gritted teeth. This is just the beginning. Queen Velthara's voice was weak but determined. Then we will find more. Touch me again, human. Touch me again and we will save both our worlds. The Void Devourers circled the ship like sharks, but they could not approach the blazing electrical field that surrounded it. For the first time in centuries, the darkness had met something it could not swallow. But the real battle was just beginning. The circle of humans and aliens had been holding hands for 12 hours. Taemin's body hurt everywhere, but he didn't let go. Around their ship, the Void Devourers waited like hungry wolves. They couldn't get through the electrical field, but they weren't leaving either. "We can't keep this up forever," Captain So Young said. Her voice was weak. Sweat ran down her face. Queen Velthara's crystal body flickered between blue and gray. "My people across the city are getting stronger. The electrical field is reaching them, but you humans are paying a terrible price." It was true. All 6 humans looked sick. Their hands shook. Their eyes were bloodshot. The electrical feedback was slowly burning out their nervous systems. "There has to be another way," Taemin said. Elder Nalvera spoke up. His crystal body was brighter than it had been in decades. "There is, but it requires great trust." "What kind of trust?" Do-hyun asked. "The ancient records speak of fusion, not just touching but temporarily becoming one being. Human and Valari minds joined completely." "Is that possible?" Haewon asked. "It has never been tried," Queen Velthara said, "and it might be permanent. You might never be able to separate again." Taemin felt the electrical field around them getting weaker. His teammates were reaching their limits. How would fusion help? "A fused being would have human chaos and Valari control combined," Elder Nalvera explained. "It could create electrical patterns that not only repel the Void Devourers, but actually heal the damage they've done." Through the ship's windows, they could see the Void Devourers pressing closer. The black shapes were testing the electrical field, looking for weak spots. "Someone needs to get a message to Earth," So Young said. "If this fusion thing works, we'll need volunteers, lots of them." "I'll go," said Woo Jin, the ship's pilot. He was the youngest of the humans, barely 25 years old. "My nervous system is in the best shape. I might make it to the edge of the system before the electrical damage kills me." "No," Taemin said. "I'll do the fusion. It was my touch that started this. It should be me." Queen Velthara turned to look at him. Her crystal face was beautiful but sad. "If we fuse, Taemin, we may never see our own people the same way again. We'll be something new, something that belongs to both worlds and neither. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs," Taemin said. Sang-Min Kama, their engineer, had been quiet during this talk. Now he spoke up. "What if we build something to help? Some kind of machine that could amplify the fusion effect?" "What do you mean?" Queen Velthara asked. "A bioelectric amplifier. Something that takes the electrical pattern from a human-alien fusion and broadcasts it across the whole galaxy." Elder Nalvera's crystal body brightened with excitement. "Yes, we have crystal technology that could work with your human electronics, but building it would take time." "Time we don't have," So Young said. The Void Devourers were pressing even closer to the ship. "Then we split up," Taemin decided. "Woo Jin flies to Earth for help. Sang-Min and Elder Nalvera work on the amplifier. Queen Velthara and I try the fusion, and the rest of us keep holding the circle as long as we can," So Young added. Queen Velthara looked around at all the humans. "You would do this for people you just met?" "It's what humans do," So Young said simply. "We help." They broke the circle carefully. Immediately, the electrical field around the ship got smaller. The Void Devourers moved closer, but they still couldn't reach the ship itself. Woo-Jin ran to the pilot's seat. His hands were shaking badly, but he managed to start the engines. "I'll be back with help," he promised. "Don't die before then." The ship's escape pod launched, carrying Woo Jin toward the edge of the solar system. Several Void Devourers chased after him, but his ship was faster. Sang-Min and Elder Nalvera went to the ship's workshop. The old alien was explaining Valari crystal technology while the human engineer drew diagrams on a computer screen. That left Taemin, Queen Velthara, So Young, Do-hyun, and Haewon to maintain the electrical field. But with only 5 people, the field was much weaker. "We need to try the fusion now," Queen Velthara said. Before the field fails completely. Taman nodded. He was scared, but he was also curious. What would it feel like to truly join minds with an alien, to become something new? How do we do it? He asked. Queen Velthara took his hands in her crystal ones. We touch, but we don't resist the electrical flow. We let our minds merge completely. We become one. Will it hurt? I don't know. No one has ever tried it before. Taman looked at his remaining teammates. So Young gave him an encouraging nod. Do-hyun and Haiwan were busy maintaining the electrical field, but they smiled at him. Touch me again, human, Queen Velthara said softly. But this time don't let go. No matter what happens, don't let go. Taimin took her crystal hands in his human ones. This time, when the electricity flowed between them, he didn't fight it. He let it carry him into Queen Velthara's mind. At first, it was like drowning in an ocean of alien thoughts, memories of 3,000 years of life, the weight of ruling an empire, the loneliness of being the only one who knew how close her people were to extinction. But then his human chaos mixed with her alien order, and something wonderful happened. The two minds didn't fight each other. They danced together. Human creativity sparked with alien wisdom. Human emotion gave strength to alien logic. Tai-Min felt his body changing. His skin was becoming partly crystal, but warm crystal that could still feel. Queen Velthara was becoming partly human, but she kept her crystal strength and grace. They were becoming something new, something that had never existed before. The electrical field around the ship exploded outward like a star being born. The void devourers shrieked with voices like breaking glass and fled from the blazing light. But Taimin Velthara, for that's what they were now, one being with two names, could feel that this was just the beginning. The void devourers were regrouping. More were coming from across the galaxy. They would need an army of fused beings to fight them all. Through their joined consciousness, they sent a message across space to Wu Jin's ship. Hurry. Bring everyone who's willing to take the risk. The galaxy depends on it. In the workshop, Sang-min and Elder Nalvera had finished their plans. The bioelectric amplifier would work, but it needed more fused beings to power it. Touch me again, human, Queen Velthara had said. And now, as one being, they understood what those words really meant. They meant, join with me, become something new with me, help me save both our worlds. And Taman had said yes. 3 weeks later, the sky above the crystal planet was full of ships. Human ships from Earth carrying volunteers who had heard Wu Jin's message. The young pilot had made it back to Earth, barely alive, but with proof that humans could save an alien civilization. Tay-min-vel quote. Thara stood on the crystal tower and watched the ships land. They were still getting used to being one person in two bodies. Sometimes they were more human, sometimes more alien, but always both. Captain So Young walked up to them. She looked tired, but happy. The last transport just arrived. We have 5,000 volunteers. Are they ready? Taman Velthara asked. Their voice was strange now, sometimes human, sometimes the musical tone of the Valari, as ready as anyone can be for something like this. Below them, humans and aliens were meeting for the first time. At first, both groups were nervous. The humans had never seen living crystal beings. The aliens had never met creatures made of flesh and bone. But then Min Ho, a human teacher from Seoul, reached out to touch a young Valari named Kesara. The moment their hands met, both of them gasped. Electricity flowed between them, but it felt good, like finding a missing piece of themselves. Soon, more humans and aliens were touching, learning to share their electrical essence. Not all of them chose to fuse completely like Taimin and Queen Velthara had, but all of them joined the growing network of connected minds. Sang-min quote, S bioelectric amplifier stood in the center of the crystal city. It was a beautiful thing, part human technology and part alien crystal art. Elder Nalvera had worked day and night to help build it. Will it work? Do-hyun asked. He had volunteered to fuse with a Valari scientist named Quental. Together, they had become one of the most brilliant research teams in the galaxy. There's only one way to find out, Taimin Velthara said. The Ya. Void devourers were coming back. Thousands of them, flowing through space like a dark storm. They had called to others of their kind from across the galaxy. This would be their final attack. But the humans and Valari were ready. 5,000 humans stood hand in hand with 5,000 aliens. The bioelectric amplifier hummed with power, waiting to broadcast their combined electrical pattern across the entire galaxy. Tai-min-vel quote. Thara placed their hands on the amplifier's control panel. Everyone ready? A chorus of 10,000 voices, human and alien, answered, "Ready." The void devourers reached the planet's atmosphere. They came down like black rain, hungry to drain every spark of life from the world below. But when they touched the electrical field generated by the human-alien network, something amazing happened. The chaotic human electrical patterns confused the void devourers. They couldn't lock onto anything to drain. The ordered Valeri patterns gave structure to the chaos, turning it into something the void creatures had never encountered before. Instead of draining life, the combined electrical field began to heal the damage the void devourers had done. Crystal buildings that had been drained and gray began to glow again. Planets across the galaxy that had been dying for centuries suddenly blazed with new life. And the void devourers themselves began to change. The hunger that had driven them for 1,000 years started to fade. The electrical patterns from the human-alien fusion were teaching them how to create energy instead of just consuming it. One by one, the void devourers stopped attacking. Their black forms became lighter, clearer. They were remembering what they had been before they became creatures of pure hunger. Jin-A, a human military strategist who had fused with a Valari commander, spoke for all of them. "We offer you a choice. Join us in healing the galaxy, or leave, and never return." The lead void devourer, larger and older than the rest, hovered above the crystal city. For a moment, everyone held their breath. Then it spoke, its voice like wind through empty space. "We remember. We were once alive. We chose hunger over harmony. We became monsters. You can choose differently now," Taimin Velthara said gently. "Life is about second chances." The void devourer's form shimmered and changed. The black emptiness filled with soft light. "We accept. Teach us to live again instead of just consuming." The bioelectric amplifier pulsed with power, sending the healing signal to every corner of the galaxy. Wherever the signal reached, life grew stronger. Dead planets bloomed with new growth. Dying species found their strength renewed. And everywhere, beings that had once been enemies learned to touch, to share, to become more together than they had ever been alone. Months later, Taimin Velthara stood in the same spot where they had first touched. The crystal city was more beautiful than ever, filled with humans and aliens and the new beings they created together. Captain So Young approached them. She had chosen not to fuse, remaining purely human, but she worked closely with alien partners every day. "The Galactic Council wants to meet with you," she said. "Representatives from 100 different species want to learn about the fusion process." "And the former void devourers?" Taimin Velthara asked. "They're learning fast. Turns out when you've spent 1,000 years consuming energy, you're really good at understanding how it works. They're helping us build bioelectric amplifiers on planets all across the galaxy." Taimin Velthara smiled with both their human and crystal faces. "What about Earth? How are people adjusting to the news that we're not alone?" "Better than expected. Turns out humans have always been good at adapting. And when they learned that human touch could literally heal alien civilizations, well, everyone wants to volunteer." A group of children ran past them, human and alien kids playing together. One human boy was holding hands with a young Valari girl, their joined electrical field making flowers bloom in the crystal path beneath their feet. "Touch me again, human," the alien girl said, laughing. "Okay," the human boy replied. but only if you teach me how to make my electricity make those pretty colors. Taemin Velthara watched them play and felt complete. They had started as a scientist who accidentally touched an alien queen. They had become something new, something that belonged to all species and none. The galaxy was healing. Different species were learning to work together, to become stronger together than they had ever been apart. The hunger that had nearly destroyed. Everything had been transformed into harmony. And it had all started with a simple touch between two beings who were brave enough to trust each other. "Touch me again, human," Queen Velthara had said in anger. "Touch me again, human," she had said in hope. "Touch me again, human," she said now in love, in joy, in the knowledge that sometimes the most powerful thing in the universe is not a weapon or a technology, but simply the willingness to reach out and connect with someone different from yourself. The human Taemin and the alien Queen Velthara no longer existed as separate beings. But in their place was something better, a bridge between worlds, a proof that differences could become strengths, that chaos and order could dance together, that touch could heal instead of harm. And across the galaxy, millions of beings reached out to touch someone different, someone alien, someone who could help them become more than they had ever imagined possible. The universe was learning to love.